What is up, everyone? It is Jake here with Master Football, back at it again. First thing, want to make sure, happy hump day. Everybody happy hump day. It's Wednesday, draft is tomorrow, so let's go ahead and go over a couple things. Now first, please, and I shamelessly plug this, okay? Please, like the video. Please, subscribe. There's that red subscribe button, okay? Red. Make it gray, okay? Make it gray, and you're okay. Red, no. Click on it right now. All right. Thank you. And like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, all that stuff. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So our mock draft. Now, all 32 picks in the first round. Now, the cool thing about this is that we're going to be using Pro Football Focus. They have a draft simulator. We're going to be going on there and kind of clicking through that. I'll be going through a couple of the picks. I'm not going to spend very much time on explaining the rest of them, though. You're going to kind of see my logic as I go through it. You're going to see the direction I think the team is going, and then we're going to go ahead and go with that pick. So without further ado, let's get in after it with this first round mock draft. First pick, first round, Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence. Moving on. Okay, second pick, New York Jets. Again, I think the strength of this pick right here for them is the fact that they have, I don't think necessarily he's a big talent upgrade over Sam Darnold, but I do think that he's a fresh start. He has a fresh start on his contract too, so they got that reset. They don't have to worry about that. And you also were able to turn assets. You were able to turn Sam Darnold into assets later on. We're going with Zach Wilson. All right, this is the big one. Now, you can even see it right here where we're going off this. We know that this pick, for instance, is going to be a quarterback. Now, who it is, we're not 100% sure. I think that the lottery pick, the highest boom, would be Trey Lance. The safest pick, or the most logical pick, would probably be Justin Fields. It sounds to me like it is Mac Jones. It's going to be Mac Jones. We're going to go with Mac Jones in this pick. All right, so Atlanta Falcons. So Atlanta Falcons are absolutely jacked at this point because they get the best non-quarterback football player in this draft. I think if you really look at this, Penei Sewell looks like he's a freak athlete. He looks like he's a really great candidate. Jamar Chase is obviously great as well. I think, though, that Kyle Pitts, there's nothing in this draft that looks like Kyle Pitts. I anticipate they're going to go with him just because there's nothing that looks like him. He is going to be spectacular day one and be a matchup nightmare across the board. All right, so we have the Bengals. Now, I know they have Jonah Williams, and we know that they definitely want to protect Joe Burrow. Now, they have a choice. Do we want to get Penei Sewell and protect Joe Burrow, or do we want to get Jamar Chase and run by people? I do think that division is built on power. I think that they're going to go with Penei Sewell. I think that is the safer pick. Not to say that Jamar Chase isn't safe, but I do think that offensive linemen, if they don't work at tackle, you can always move them into guard. So I think that the Bengals, who generally don't get very aggressive, I mean, if they traded this pick back, they could get a king's ransom for a lot of these picks. But I think that the Bengals, they're pretty safe. They don't take a lot of chances. I think they're going to go with Penei Sewell, tackle from Oregon. Okay, so here we are with the Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins are going to, oh my gosh, this would be nuts. What if Jamar Chase drops to the Dolphins in this instance? The only other player I think would maybe make sense, I mean, we're looking down here, maybe an offensive lineman, maybe a defensive lineman. I do think, though, that there is a clear gap. These receivers, Waddle, Smith, and Jamar Chase, I just feel like, man, I mean, I know that he's not necessarily a need, but, dude, if you get Jamar Chase, he had 21 touchdown catches his sophomore year. So I anticipate, dude, Jamar Chase takes the top off the defense, runs great routes, catches the ball. I think that he's the guy that you're going to go with. Now, here we are sitting with the Lions. I actually think that realistically, the Lions are probably going to trade this pick just because I think they can turn into a lot more. I think they're just going to be like, dude, we're full reset mode, trade back, let's see what we can get. For purposes of going along with this right now, man, I mean, they could go in any one of directions here. I do think, though, that, they had Jeff Okudah last year. They've got a couple other good young defensive pieces. I feel like the pick that makes most sense, and again, I know it's a little agreeable on my instance, but I feel like the pick that they would most likely go with would be Micah Parsons, linebacker. I do feel like he's just a freak athlete, gets after runs. They're going to build a defensive juggernaut there. I feel like that is what Dan Campbell wants to do, big physical guy. Let's go with ourselves with Micah Parsons here at pick number 7. All right, the Panthers are here at number 8. I have Justin Fields falling. I don't think he's going to fall this far, but I do think that, again, we can't calculate out trades for here, but gosh, if Justin Fields is sitting there, man, it's difficult to turn that thing down. But, they did trade for Sam Darnold. Gosh, I mean, if I'm them, I'm looking at these three players there. I'm looking at what they have. That you've got a couple receivers on the outside. That you got a good running back. I mean, do you get another weapon? I don't really know if another weapon helps you out. If I'm the Panthers here, gosh, I mean, defense is all right. I mean, man, I think if they were presented with this situation, I think that they would probably go, man, this is a tough pick here. I think that they would go, I'm tripping on this one, man. I feel like of all of these, they would pick Justin Fields. Justin Fields is on the board at number 8. I mean, you're looking at it there. I mean, they still need quarterback. They got Sam Darnold. They traded for it. They're going to address the quarterback position. They're going to solve it. I think, again, the same situation where the Washington, formerly the Redskins, now the football team, they went with RG3 and then they picked Kirk Cousins later. I think that they're going to do that. They're like, listen, we're going to figure out quarterback. And if Justin Fields is there at 8, dude, he's gone. All right, Denver Broncos. I don't think Denver Broncos need a receiver per se, but I do think that of all the players to pick right here, the one that would make the most sense, gosh, maybe offensive lineman, this or that. But I think that for them, what they're looking at, Denver's pretty safe they're pretty intentional with their picks. So they want to pick up weapons, they pick up weapons. They want to improve a quarterback, they improve a quarterback. I do think that Drew Lock is on a short lease. If Trey Lance drops here to number 9, I don't see how they go against Trey Lance. They could start Drew Lock for a year, start him until he basically upsets the team, and then goes from there. So I think they're going to go with Trey Lance. Dallas Cowboys. All right, so Dallas Cowboys. Man, I mean, if this pick was Jerry Jones, it'd be Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle. I do think, though, that what they're probably going to do is I'm looking down here, looking at Patrick Surtain, J.C. Horn. I do think that Alabama player, man, I think that defensive back, I do feel like, they picked Diggs last year as a secondary guy in the second round. I would think they'd pair him up with another guy from Alabama. That sounds like something that they would do. They try to fill needs a little bit more. I'm going to go with Patrick Surtain from Alabama here to the Cowboys at number 10. All right, New York Football Giants. I do think this is nuts if this happens, but New York Football Giants, I mean, we're looking here. They've got Rashawn Slater's available, Christian Darrisaw, Rashad Bateman, J.C. Horn, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Greg Newsome, Elijah Vera Tucker. Elijah Vera Tucker's kind of a guard. Rashawn Slater is a tackle guard kind of combo. If I'm sitting here at the Giants, I don't see how the Giants, who are pretty pragmatic about their picks, I know people might not think they are like that, but man, I mean, if you look at it, they just got the receiver from the Lions. God, what's his name? They just got Kenny Galladay, and I think they're still kind of void at receiver. They still need some help there. Gosh, I feel like this one right here, Devontae Smith, pick him at number 11, get a great value for him and a burner that they can play in that division. Well, the Eagles, who are furious at this, I think the Eagles were probably sitting there like, yo, dude, we need some receivers. They picked Jalen Reagor last year. Still kind of looking for, they have, Greg Ward, maybe Alshon Jeffrey, I'm not sure. I do think that they are going to load up on weapons to try and help Jalen Hurts out as much as possible. That seems like a Philly thing to do. I feel like either one, Devontae Smith gets picked first, they pick Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle gets picked first, they pick Devontae Smith. I think that they are going back-to-back Alabama receivers to help them out. All right, so this is huge for the Chargers. I do think that this would address a huge need for them. They need offensive linemen. Rashawn Slater's drop into 13. It's no question here. Okay, they had one of the worst performing offensive line last year. They need to protect Justin Herbert. I think they'd go offensive line right here. All right, so Minnesota Vikings are up. I mean, if you're looking at here, there's a couple different options they can have. They can have tackle, guard, edge defender, possibly defensive tackle. The best guy available, the Vikings are pretty good about collecting talent. I do know that they're pretty good at developing safe secondary people. So I don't think that Trayvon Morgan is going to be the option. Again, Rashad Bateman might be a popular pick with the team, but But I mean, you look at there, J.C. Horn maybe Greg Newsome, Elijah Vera Tucker. More than likely, if I'm them and Christian Darrisaw is there available, I'm probably going to go with Christian Darrisaw. I'm a Raiders fan. I want him to drop to 17. I think that they're going to probably pick him. So let's go with our girlfriend, Christian Darrisaw. All right, so Patriots at 15. I just feel like, Patriots at 15, they could use, Rashad Bateman. They could use Christian Barmore. I do feel like of all of the things that they would pick, I feel like this is a classic Bill Belichick move, either Alabama guy, but man, if J.C. Horn is available, he does such a great job with defensive backs. He would pick J.C. Horn in the second. That'd be a classic Patriots pick. All right, so now we have the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals, their defensive line actually did pretty good in sacks. They could probably use maybe, like I said, a tight end, maybe something like that. But with the board here, they've got a lot of things they can go here. Again, we'll scroll down a little bit more. They've got Caleb Farley, Kwity Paye, Jason Away, Walker Little the tackle, Jalen Phillips the end, Terrence Marshall, Asante Samuel. We're getting a little far down there. I do feel like if they could pick anything in here of all the players that they had, they just got J.J. Watt. Maybe to pair him up with Christian Barmore, big guy in the middle to kind of help stop the run. They've got some good defenses. They got some good offenses in that division. They're gonna need all the help they can get. I feel like it'd be Christian Barmore or Barmore. All right, so the Raiders are up to pick. Now, the Raiders, I know that they definitely need some tackle help, possibly guard to corner safety. Free safety still an issue. Strong safety, I think that they'll be okay, but I feel like this would be a tackle here. And if we're looking at the tackles, Elijah Vera Tucker is a guard tackle who actually shows some good ability, but I don't know necessarily if he is a high-end pick. I feel like they would be more likely to pick Tevin Jenkins, just from a size and tenacity perspective. So I think that the Raiders would go for Tevin Jenkins here, a tackle who can also play potentially guard for them in the future. All right, so up on the luck clock is the Dolphins. So as you remember with the Dolphins in their first pick, so the Dolphins with their first pick, they went ahead and went with Jamar Chase. Again, I think that they're in a situation here where they just need to collect some good players here. Gosh, I mean, what are you looking at here? You see that they technically need a tackle, they need a guard, they need a defensive lineman. I think that Elijah Vera Tucker would be a solid pick for them, and I think that might be where they go. Again, they could go in a couple different directions here. They could go Kwity Paye. That might not be a bad idea. They could go Jason Away. They could go Jalen Phillips, Azeez Ojulari. But I do feel like the board would take over at this point. And I do feel like they do a pretty good job of addressing needs, but more so picking, solid players. I feel like they pick Elijah Vera Tucker, USC tackle, who can also play a little bit of guard. All right, Washington football team here. Great defense. Plays fantastic on defense. Receivers, I mean, maybe they've got Scary Terry. He might be able to be, a good weapon out there. But I do feel like of all the guys that are available here, I mean, who else do we have? We have, Greg Newsome and possibly do a quarterback. There's no real quarterbacks available. Tight end, tackle, linebacker. Rashad Bateman is sitting there. Gosh, it'd be really hard to pass up on Rashad Bateman. I mean, looking down here, maybe Terrence Marshall, maybe Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore is a little small. I do feel like they would probably go with Rashad Bateman based on the fact that he is, he's just a solid receiver, big possession guy. They need some weapons. There's no quarterback really to pick here or tight end, so probably go with Rashad Bateman. All right, so here are the Bears. Oh, man, the Bears. I swear, I feel for you Bears fans because I know what it's like to have the Red Rocket out there. That just doesn't do it for you. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. But they need quarterback, receiver, tackle, guard. So basically, they just need offense, particularly perimeter players, especially perimeter offensive line, everything like that. You're looking here, I mean, the players that are available. Quarterback, I don't necessarily think so. Receiver, Elijah Moore, Terrence Marshall, Kadarius Toney, Dynamic Brown, Josh Palmer. I don't think it's going to be any of those. If we go to offensive tackle, Walker Little is a project. Dylan Radins is a North Dakota State product. Samuel Cosme is a pretty good athlete. Alex Leatherwood is probably a second-round pick, but he's a big boy. I do feel like the safest pick here would probably be Samuel Cosme. What they would pick there, they pick an offensive lineman, develop him up. They do need to help out that offensive line, so I feel like it's going to be Samuel Cosme going forward. All right, so here's the Colts. Colts need weapons. They've got Carson Wentz. They probably need a tackle, edge defender. I do feel like this is probably going to be the first time that an edge defender comes off the board. They improve that defense. The highest rated guy is either Kwity Paye or Jason Away. I think that the Colts are a little more pragmatic They would probably go with Kwity Paye. He seems like a little more of a sure thing, whereas Jason Owe is a little more of a workout warrior. Going to go with Kwity Paye here at the 21st pick. All right, so then we have the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans could definitely use a couple different positions. I think for them, gosh, I know that they had some trouble with some defensive backs. They needed some new defensive backs. I think they're sitting here and they're thinking, man, Greg Newsome's available, Caleb Farley's available. I do feel like they like better athletes. So I think that they would probably go with Caleb Farley, big, tall, and can fly cornerback from Virginia Tech, who sat out the 2020 season. All right, time for the Jets up again. So Jets have Zach Wilson here. They could basically do anything here. They could pick the best player available. Best player available, I mean, if you're looking at all these guys, is probably, I mean, Trayvon Morgan is there. They're pretty decent at safety. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I actually have him falling in the draft. I don't see him in the NFL, particularly in the first round over a lot of these players. But if you're looking at these other players here, Walker Little, Jalen Phillips, Terrence Marshall, Asante Samuel, Azeez Ojulari, I just feel like, man, the best player available is probably Greg Newsome, corner from Northwestern. There might be some questions about his size and anything like that, but I do feel like the Jets would probably go with something like that, pick corner from Northwestern. All right, so here we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that the Steelers, quarterback, they need an offensive lineman, but the problem is, I mean, looking here, it's Walker Little is often injured. There's Azeez Ojulari, Dylan Radens. The Steelers do a pretty good job of picking receivers and developing them. I don't think they're going to pick a receiver here. The most unique player they have is probably Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. They're pretty good at drafting for the division. I think they've done that a couple times with, Lamar Jackson in the division. The pick that actually makes the most sense here, I know I was saying a couple seconds ago, I actually have him drop, but Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he can cover, he can run, he can defend the run. He's kind of a flex player in and out, and especially with having those running quarterbacks in the division like that, the Steelers are preparing to go up against the Ravens, and I feel like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah would be the guy who could be the most flexible for them. All right, now we're back to the Jaguars. Again, Jaguars can basically just do whatever they want here just because they just need as much talent as possible. You're looking at here the best players available. I think that, if you're looking here, the guy that's jumping out to me right now is Jalen Phillips from Miami. Asante Samuel could be a possibility too. They need offense, they need defense, they need everything. So it basically just depends on what you want to do. I do think that, again, it's the same thing where, a defensive lineman is harder to pick in the later rounds than a cornerback is. Not to say cornerbacks are easy to pick in the later rounds, but probably going to go with somebody to the effect of either Jason Owe or Jalen Phillips. I do feel like they would probably go with Jason Owe. He's a better athlete. The Jaguars like athletes, and they would go with the guy that ran that 4.3. All right, Browns are up. So Browns are loaded at a lot of positions. They are really sound out for this year. Probably going to get a pass rusher as much as Jadeveon Clowney is on the team. He's not a pass rusher. He's a great run defender. But the reason why people keep on letting him go is because he's a run defender who doesn't really offer much in the pass game. Probably going to go with the safest, but either Azeez Ojulari, who is a pure pass rusher, or Jalen Phillips, who's a little bit better of an athlete. I do feel like the Browns like to go athlete necessarily over football player in the first round, so we're going to go with Jalen Phillips, Miami defensive end. All right, Ravens are up. So Ravens have kind of said that, hey, man, maybe we're like Army, where our quarterbacks are just always runners. They need receivers. I look in there, Terrence Marshall, maybe Rondale Moore. So I know that they have Hollywood Brown. Probably going to go with a receiver who's a little bit bigger. I see Terrence Marshall there, LSU receiver, talented guy, drops down this far. Probably going to go with Terrence Marshall, wide receiver from LSU. All right, so the Saints. Okay, so the Saints need a lot. They definitely going to be rebuilding the defense, going to be rebuilding the offense. They lost a lot of players. I mean, they also lost Drew Brees, for God's sake. So if you look here of all these players, the most useful for them would probably be Asante Samuel Jr. Asante Samuel, been a big player in the NFC for a lot of years. His son, I think more than likely that name recognition will be taken by them. Asante Samuel Jr., corner from Florida State, goes to the Saints. All right, Packers are up. So more than likely what the Packers are going to do is just something really safe. I do feel like of all the guys here that they could go with, gosh, I mean, the one that would make the most sense in terms of what they need, I mean, if we're talking pure a 4-3 linebacker, probably Nick Bolton. Corner, don't really know. I do think, though, that they're the type of team that they're going to pick, a good athlete if they can. I feel like in that division, the guy that is the most unique would be Zavin Collins, 6'4", 260, plays linebacker, can rush the passer, can do a lot of things. That would be the guy that would be the most unique for the Packers to pick. I feel like they would go with him just so they could have a more unique defense heading into that division. All right, so we have the Bills here. So Bills defensive line, edge rusher, cornerback. So basically the best defensive player available. The best defensive player available is either, you could go with maybe Elijah Molden, maybe Nick Bolton, but Azeez Ojulari, speed rusher, pass rusher. They need pass rush. Probably going to go with Azeez Ojulari to help get after those big quarterbacks that they have to play in that division and in the AFC. Ravens are usually pretty easy to pick for, just because they basically pick the best player available. So the Ravens went ahead and picked Terrace Marshall on their previous pick. This pick right here, they could go and double up and pick Rondale Moore and just have a couple freaky receivers there. But more than likely, gosh, I mean, I'm looking here. Greg Rousseau took the year off. He's a freak athlete. He's a big boy. He's scary. That looks like a classic pick for them. Could be him. Could be Alex Leatherwood. Alex Leatherwood would be a right tackle. And I actually think that would be kind of a good pick. But I do know that they lean more towards picking the best player available. They're not going to get another chance at a Gregory Rousseau, so I feel like they would go ahead with Gregory Rousseau. All right, and last, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are basically drafting for depth. Some people had a quarterback here. I'm like, dude, no. They're not going to pick a quarterback here. What they're probably going to do is they're probably going to address some needs. It says quarterback's a need. It's not a need. I'm sorry, it's just not a need. I mean, they could go with basically anybody here. Safety, linebacker, tackle. So basically, the best player available is probably Trayvon Morgan. He was in a split safety look. Going to go and play over there. Gosh, I mean, if they pick up Trayvon Morgan and they've got all those other players there, they are scary. So probably going to go with Trayvon Morgan to end the first round. All right, that is my draft. Everybody check it out, see what you think. And again, I think that based on that, when you actually get in there, again, here's the problem. I know that there's going to be some trades. You can't project trades. Okay, I don't want to do that. But when you actually get in there and you try and think about what the teams do, you're trying to use your intuition on what they're going to do. The problem is, there's going to be a zillion tosses and turns throughout this whole thing. So we will see how that turns out. But everyone, thank you so much for staying here. I will be live streaming tomorrow. I still don't really know how to do it, but I'm going to be doing it. But anyways, I will see you all then. Please like, share, and subscribe to the video. But everybody have yourself a happy Wednesday.